What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another X-Defiant gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the important stats of the guns, and then toward the end I share a few excellent attachment combinations. And based on the comment section of the last episode covering the LVOAC, it seems you guys really wanted to see an episode on the M16, so that's what we're going to be covering today. And without further ado, let's dive into this and have a look at our range and time to kill comparison with the other assault rifles. And as you can see, with the M16, it's going to be a 5 to 6 shot kill, keeping in mind it is a 3-round burst gun, so it's always going to be a 2-burst kill if you're hitting all your shots to the body. And when it comes to our rate of fire, based on hand testing at least, the rate of fire within each burst is 896 rounds per minute, and then we have a roughly 150 millisecond burst delay. And time to kill wise, unfortunately, the M16 actually has the slowest time to kill in that maximum damage range, so up close, out of all of the assault rifles at 418 milliseconds. Whereas at a distance, it is one of the faster killing assault rifles at just 485 milliseconds, assuming you're not missing any shots. Now, don't let the fact that it has the slowest time to kill up close deter you from using this gun, because it actually has a lot going for it that you don't see reflected in the time to kill values, and I'm sure many of you guys that have been using the M16, you're already aware of this. But the next thing I want to take a look at is our time to kill with headshots added to the equation. And this is one area where the M16 really shines, because in the maximum damage range, we can actually get a 3-shot or 1-burst kill if all 3 bullets hit the head. Which admittedly, that's not going to be happening all that often. In really close quarter situations, if you're super on point with your shot, yeah, you can make that work. But more often than not, that's not going to be happening. However, even without that 3-shot kill, it is also worth noting we can drop down to a 4-shot kill by just landing 1 headshot mixed in with body shots, and that will noticeably improve our time to kill potential, and it's the only assault rifle in the game right now that benefits from only 1 headshot mixed in with body shots up close. And when you factor that 1 single headshot in, which is generally pretty easy to do, now you have a much more competitive time to kill with the other assault rifles. Furthermore, and I would say far more importantly, the M16, in my opinion, is the best gun in the entire game against Phantom players at 120 HP, because, at least in its maximum damage range, it kills Phantom players exactly the same as regular players with body shots. It's going to maintain its 5-shot kill potential, and therefore 418 millisecond time to kill, which is going to be now far better than any of the other assault rifles in the game. So the M16 is actually my go-to gun if I run into a team that's using a lot of Phantoms. Like if I see 3 or more Phantom users on the other team, I almost always swap over to my M16 because it effectively eliminates that health advantage that they have over me. And that's definitely one of the most important things to know about the M16 is its value against Phantom users. But now let's get into our recoil trend and compare it to the other assault rifles. And as you can see here, the M16 has very little recoil. Within each burst, there is a slight amount of horizontal deviation, and yes, of course, a little bit of vertical recoil as well. But generally, that's only going to be a problem for you at really long ranges. This is a super accurate gun. Then let's have a look at our handling stats, and with the M16, both our aim down sight time and sprint out times are 300 milliseconds, which is pretty much just standard for an assault rifle. It's nothing out of the ordinary here at all. That's not an amazing time by any means, so at least by default, you can't be rushing around like crazy and expect to challenge SMG users that well. But it's also not terrible for an assault rifle, and our reload add time is also right around average for an assault rifle at 1.39 seconds. And then finally, for the base stats without any attachments, let's have a look at our mobility stats. And just like with our handling, it's just standard for assault rifles at 4.2 meters per second for our base movement speed, 6.3 meters per second for our sprint speed, and our aim walking speed is 2.94 meters per second. And there we go, that wraps it up for the base stats of the M16. Now let's get into the heavy barrel, since this is an attachment that is very valuable on some guns and actually harmful on other guns. And when it comes to the M16, when using the heavy barrel, this will reduce the rate of fire within each burst down to 806 rounds per minute. So that may actually reduce your accuracy and your ability to land all 3 bullets within a burst due to the fact that it takes longer to get that burst out. However, it is worth noting our burst delay is untouched with this rate of fire adjustment. It's still 150 milliseconds. As for shots to kill, with the heavy barrel, now we can get a 4-shot kill to the body in the maximum damage range. And this gives us a time to kill potential of 372 milliseconds with that 4-shot kill, which is noticeably better than the base. Although again, without the heavy barrel, if you just mix 1 headshot in with body shots, you'll get an even better result since you won't see a rate of fire reduction and you're still capable of getting that 4-shot kill. But it is also worth noting with the heavy barrel, in the second 2 damage ranges, we're killing in the same number of shots to kill with a slower fire rate and therefore with a slower time to kill potential. So far, definitely some ups and downs with the heavy barrel. However, headshots are also important to factor in here. And one nice thing about using the heavy barrel with the M16 is in that maximum damage range, Now, instead of needing to land all 3 bullets to the head to get a 3-shot kill or a 1-burst kill, now you just need to land 2 headshots mixed in with 1 body shot. So it's a bit more consistent when it comes to getting that 1-burst kill for a really, really fast 148 millisecond time to kill potential. And then finally, another consideration with the heavy barrel is what it does against Phantom players. And in this case, the only change you're going to see to the number of shots to kill is in the minimum damage range. So at really long ranges, instead of an 8-shot kill against Phantom players, it will make the M16 a 7-shot kill, which shouldn't be affecting too many of your gunfights. Generally speaking, most of your gunfights should fall within those first 2 damage ranges at the very least. So I would say when it comes to the heavy barrel on the M16, it's not a complete waste of an attachment, and it wouldn't be necessarily a mistake to use the heavy barrel. But at the same time, I do consider it to be unnecessary on this gun, since I can just land 1 headshot mixed in with body shots and still get that 4-shot kill. And reducing that rate of fire within each burst will affect your ability to land all 3 bullets within that burst. So for me personally, I don't tend to use the heavy barrel at all on the M16. And then finally, before we get into the attachment combinations, just a quick note on the Cleaners faction. With their bonus burn damage that you get, with the M16, you will be getting that consistent 4-shot kill to the body, but I would say using Cleaners is not necessary with the M16 by any means. I never feel pressured to use Cleaners when using this gun, but if you're already using the Cleaners, the M16 is not a bad choice. It is a gun that technically benefits from that Cleaners burn damage. And there we go, that wraps it up for all of the important stats I wanted to cover. Now let's finally get into some excellent attachment combinations. And the first one I'm going to share for you guys is my go-to M16 build. This is definitely my preferred build. And this is my strafe build. So with this, we're using the muzzle booster, the small vert grip on the front rail, the leather wrapped rear grip, and then finally the reflex optic. And with this one, our rate of fire within the burst is slightly improved due to that muzzle booster. It's now 918 rounds per minute, but the burst delay is unchanged. And what this means for our time to kill potential is with a 5-shot kill, that will cut it down to a 410 millisecond time to kill, which is barely faster than the base. But I would say more importantly, it just makes it slightly more consistent, hitting all 3 of those bullets within each burst. Then when it comes to our aim down sight and sprint out times, we are hurting both of these by just 15 milliseconds. But that's a perfectly acceptable trade-off to make due to the fact that we are noticeably improving our base movement speed and sprint movement speed, but even more importantly, we are massively improving our aim down sight movement speed. And that's one of the most important stats in this game, in my opinion. It allows you to evade shots in a gunfight a lot more effectively by strafing back and forth, and it allows you to take advantage of left stick aiming or strafe aiming, which is a very effective method of making fine adjustments to your aim. But finally, with this setup, on the bottom right, you can see our recoil pattern is slightly adjusted here. You might end up seeing just a bit more horizontal recoil. And honestly, that's another trade-off I'm happy to make with this gun. Most of my gunfights are going to be within a range where that recoil doesn't really matter anyway. And that's why with all of this combined, this is by far my favorite M16 build to use and absolutely my go-to. In saying that though, I do like to provide some variety with my builds because not everybody has the same playstyle and maybe you want to try something a little different. So the next setup I'm going to share for you guys is my Rush build. So this one's designed to be treated kind of like an SMG. And with this, we've got the lightweight barrel, the small vert grip in the front rail, the quick draw rear grip, and then finally the removed stock option. And with this one, we are taking a little bit of a hit to our damage range, but that's okay since we're going to be treating this more like an SMG, like I said. So we're trying to get ourselves more up close and personal. Both our aim down sight and sprint out time values are very noticeably improved here, down to 210 milliseconds. And while that's not quite as fast as most of the SMGs, it's at least approaching SMG level, and it allows this gun to be significantly more snappy. And we're also massively improving our base movement speed and sprint movement speed to a level that's actually faster than the SMGs in this game. So you can get around the map very, very quickly with this. And surprisingly, we don't even take much of a hit to our recoil here. So this is just an alternative for you guys if you want to rush really aggressively, maybe flank really aggressively as well. This one just allows you to snap on a target significantly faster than the previous build. And then finally, this leaves us with one last build I wanted to share for you guys, and this is my M16 accuracy build. With this one, we're using the brake in the muzzle category, the vertical grip in the front rail, the fabric rear grip, the precision stock, and then once again, that reflex optic. If you wanted to use a higher zoom optic, go for it. I just personally like the reflex. And with this one, we take a very slight hit to our range. Our aim down sight speed is also harmed a little bit, just by 15 milliseconds, but that's generally fine for a build like this, which is designed more so for hanging back and picking people off. Our aim down sight movement speed is also slightly reduced here. However, the big upside with this is our recoil. You can see we've got noticeably less recoil, and while this gun is already pretty accurate as is, this makes this gun pinpoint accurate even at longer ranges. So it's just a great way to use the M16 if you're planning on hanging back behind the action a little bit and trying to pick people off. And I'd say this one excels most on the bigger maps or the modes like Escort, where you can hang back pretty far behind the action and pick people off. And with that, that's finally going to wrap it up for today's gun guide on the M16 in XDefiant. As for my thoughts on this gun, I personally really enjoy it, especially as a Phantom counter. Like I said, this is always just my go-to. The moment I see a bunch of Phantom players in the other team, I immediately think, time to bring out the M16, and when I do, I tend to find a whole lot of success against them. Now, of course, these are just my opinions on the M16, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about this gun in those comments down below. And also, I am letting you guys guide this series, so please let me know in the comments which gun you'd like me to cover next. Doesn't have to be an assault rifle, it can be any gun in the game. Just let me know what you'd like me to cover, and I'll be keeping track of these general trends that you guys want to see, and that's how I'm going to order this gun guide series. If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.